Thank you for staying with us. Gunmen suspected to be ISWAP terrorists have reportedly killed Professor Abubakar Mohammed El Juma of the Nigerian Army University BU after a targeted abduction along the Maiduguri-Damboa highway. Zagazola Makama, a counterinsurgency and security expert in Lake Chad region, made this known in a statement posted on his X handle today. Makama said the attackers, described as light-skinned foreigners, specifically targeted Professor El Juma, suggesting the abduction was premeditated. The publication added that the assailants were reportedly in possession of his photograph before carrying out the attack, confirming that the operation was deliberate and planned. According to Makama, authorities have confirmed that no ransom demands were made and attempts to negotiate his release were unsuccessful. It further stated that ISWAP later informed the family of Professor El Juma's death and that his burial have been carried out within their enclave. They say the group's targeting of high-profile individuals, including academics and community leaders, reflects a shift towards calculated kidnappings designed to spread fear and disrupt governance and education in the Northeast. Meanwhile, no official statement has been issued by the Nigerian Army University BU authorities regarding the incident. Vice President Kashim Shettima has left Abuja for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 2026 African Union AU Summit. This was disclosed in a statement by Stanley Nkwocha, the senior special assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, earlier today. Themed assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063, the summit will focus on advancing continental commitments towards sustainable water management, improved sanitation and broader development goals outlined in the AU's Agenda 2063 framework. During the visit, Vice President Shettima will join African leaders at the 39th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of AU Heads of State and Government and the 30th General Assembly scheduled for February 14 and 15. On the sidelines of the summit, he is expected to participate in high-level side events and hold bilateral meetings with political and business leaders to strengthen Nigeria's diplomatic, economic, and strategic partnerships across Africa. Muyiwa Adekeye, media advisor to former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasiru Elrufai, today alleged attempts by security agents to arrest the ex-governor. Adekeye alleged that the security agents attempted to arrest Elrufai upon his arrival on a flight from Cairo. In a statement, Adekeye said Elrufai declined to accompany the agents without a formal invitation, after which they took his passport from an aide. He also claimed that the agents seized the former governor's international passport at the airport. The full statement Adekeye actually disclosed was that the security agents attempted to arrest Malam Nasiru Elrufai while he was arriving from a flight from Cairo. Malam Elrufai declined to follow them without any form of a formal invitation. However, in the process, they snatched his passport from the aide who accompanied him. Meanwhile, Nasir El-Rufai, while resisting the attempt today, said that it takes nobody to do that. Listen, nobody, not even the president, could tell me I have to do anything. If you want to invite me, give me a letter. He had earlier reported that the security operative seized his international passport. Now, according to Muyiwa Adekeye in a post, he disclosed that during the attempt, the supporters of El-Rufai were around him and he declined to follow them to their office until a formal invitation has been given to him. Now, an American missionary, Alex Babil, has accused the federal government under President Bola Tinubu of ignoring violent attacks allegedly carried out by Fulani militias against Christian communities in parts of Nigeria. Babil said the killings are not random, but form part of what he described as a deliberate campaign targeting Christians. He made the remarks after returning from a visit to Nigeria, where he assessed security conditions in several affected states. He rejected claims that Boko Haram was responsible for most of the attacks in some states. He insisted that armed Fulani groups were the main actors behind the violence. Babil further accused the government of protecting those responsible for the killings and playing down the scale of the attacks on Christian communities. He questioned the silence surrounding the crisis and called for greater honesty from leaders and citizens. The missionary also urged Christians to speak out against violence and injustice. His comments comes weeks after he accused the Benue state government of blocking his attempt to rebuild the Awata village, which was attacked by terrorists. Babiru said he planned to build a market for the community but was turned down by the state government. He claimed officials instead sent him a market design estimated at 300 million naira, a figure he described as unrealistic. He argued that the same project could be completed with about 60 million naira. He further alleged that some individuals were using the suffering of displaced residents to make personal profit. Babiru claimed that no rural market in Nigeria should cost as much as 300 million naira, describing the figure as an attempt to exploit victims of insecurity. As of the time this report was being filed, neither the federal government nor the Benue state government has responded publicly to his latest accusations. Meanwhile, the lawmakers in the United States have introduced a bill aimed at strengthening accountability for religious violence in Nigeria. The proposed law, titled the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026, seeks to impose sanctions on armed groups accused of religious attacks and on public officials said to have supported policies that restrict religious freedom. Meanwhile, Bashir Elrufai, son of the former Kaduna State Governor Nasir Elrufai, has dismissed the possibility of the African Democratic Congress adopting former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as its personal candidate, or rather presidential candidate, for the 2027 general election. Bashir, who has grown increasingly vocal in his political commentary since aligning with the ADC, made the statement today via post on X while responding to criticisms from a potential Atiku candidacy. Well, Elrufai also suggested that a presidential ticket pairing a popular candidate from the southeast with a strong and widely accepted northern running mate would be a winning formula. Although he did not name potential candidates, Bashir's comments add to the growing intrigue surrounding possible alliances within opposition circles, especially following recent speculations of high-level meetings involving Atiku, Governor Seyi Makinde, and former military ruler Ibrahim Babangida. Justice Obiora Iwate of the Federal High Court in Abuja today recused himself from two separate cases filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. While the judge, who was recently assigned the matters by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, said his decision to step down was motivated by personal reasons and the better interest of justice. This development followed shortly after one of the cases, a civil suit seeking the forfeiture of 57 properties allegedly linked to Malami, was called for mention. Although Justice Egwatu did not elaborate on the exact grounds for his withdrawal, he made it clear that he believed stepping aside was the most appropriate course of action given the circumstances. The cases had initially been handled by Justice Emeka Nwite, who sat as the vacation judge during the Christmas judicial break. The EFCC is pursuing civil forfeiture proceedings against Malami over the disputed properties, while a separate criminal suit is reportedly linked to alleged financial misconduct during his tenure. It is now expected that the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court will reassign the case to another judge. In Imo State, the police command there has uncovered and dismantled a suspected criminal network allegedly linked to armed attacks, abductions, and human trafficking. During the operation, authorities reportedly discovered shallow graves in Oguta believed to be connected to the group's activities. The development has sparked widespread concerns across the state, especially as many of the suspects are said to be young individuals. Investigations are ongoing, and security agencies say further updates will be provided. Now, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has dismissed the claims of engaging in a negotiation with the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde over a vice presidential ticket. Faishe had accused Makinde of plotting to be the running mate of Atiku in the African Democratic Congress, while reacting to a meeting held on Tuesday in Niger State between the former Vice President Makinde and former Head of State Ibrahim Babangida. In a statement on Wednesday, the Ekiti State former governor said Makinde promised to divide the vote of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the southwest and also deliver Rivers State votes for Atiku. According to Faishe, Makinde said he would release 10 billion naira for the opposition party, promising to make more funds available when the campaign starts. However, Atiku, in a statement through his senior special assistant on public communication, Frank Shaibu, described Faishe's statement as a shameless concussion, a distortion, and cheap propaganda. Atiku stated that at no time did he engage in the imaginary horse trading negotiations over vice presidential tickets or 10 billion naira contributions. The former presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party maintained that he does not conduct policy, or rather politics, in secrecy, bribery, or transactional desperation as mischievously and irresponsibly portrayed, and urged the public to disregard the publication. You're currently listening to the world news right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We will take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into the news analysis segment. We'll be joined via the telephone with Barrister Fred Nzako, who is a political, national, and social affairs commentator. Barrister Fred Nzako will be responding to some questions posed at him on some of the stories read out on the world news at 6. Do kindly stay with us.
Hello?
Barrister Fred Nzako, good evening, and thank you for joining us today, sir. How are you?
Very well. Good evening. How are you doing?
Welcome to the World News at 6, sir.
Thank you.
So, Barrister, let's start off from this controversy. We actually heard about it yesterday. Elrufai indicated to us that his close associates have been picked up. They've been picking them up consistently up until his, personal aide, his CEO, his CFO, their accounts frozen, and they've been kept in detention, in some cases 28 days, 30 days, 14 days, thereabout. That he knows that when he returns to Nigeria, that they intend to arrest him. And he says that attempt is a politically motivated one. We do know that Elrufai has cases in court, also with the EFCC. They're investigating about 400 and something billion naira that they say was misappropriated while he was the governor of Kaduna State. They've been tracing that since 2023 when he left office. Now, Elrufai has remained a controversial figure because he worked so hard to ensure President Tinubu comes on board in 2023. When the Senate could not confirm him, according to them, for security reasons, he left, and since then there's been a fracas between him and the president. Now, while he arrived Nigeria from Cairo yesterday, he arrived today at the airport. He resisted arrest. The officials were indeed at the airport to arrest him. His supporters were with him. They seized his passport, and he said he's not going anywhere with them until he gets a formal letter. However, the EFCC said that since last year, December or November, thereabout, the letter of invitation had been sent to Elrufai. Unfortunately, he has not been in the country. Do you think this is politically motivated, as Elrufai is disclosing?
I think the way and manner they do things in this country continues to baffle any sane mind. That a country that is as disturbed and as traumatized as Nigeria, the leaders don't care about trying to right some wrongs. In the first instance, Esther, I am not against anybody being questioned or being asked to come and give account of his stewardship. I'm not against that. I'm also not against the fact that people should, as much as possible, try to make themselves available to the security agencies for interaction. But my worry is this idea of picking and choosing who to ask questions and who not to presents EFCC in a very bad light. EFCC has been described aptly as the attack dog of any government in power. It was so under PDP, it is so under APC, and that is why even some governors asked that EFCC should be scrapped. That EFCC was a creation of international body that did not go through Section 13 of the Constitution and of domesticating the treaty that gave rise to EFCC. The matter went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court founded in favor of the continued stay of EFCC in office. But then, what is important is that EFCC should realize that it is a federal agency, and that if it has to ask questions from states and from local government, it must not be partisan, it must not be political, and it must not be seen as being political. Because I mean, it is true that whenever people are asked to come and give account, they will read political meaning into it. But then, where is Ivan Yokowa's matter today? Where is Yabelo's matter today? Where are the others? Others? The court said Oju Dogalo should be tried because the judge that gave him sentence was already elevated to Court of Appeal and lacked jurisdiction as at the time he delivered judgment, but that the matters will be retried. Is anything going on there? And these are just a few examples. And that statement made by Adam Oshiomhole that anybody that crossed over to APC, his sins will be forgiven. And we are seeing it happen in our very faces. That once you are in APC, nobody will disturb you. Is that how to run a country? What does it present EFCC as? If it is the EFCC of the federal government or of the ruling party, then let the proper nomenclature be given to it, so that Nigerians will know that this is what they are. Now, Elrufai said that he is not going with them because he can count in his fingertips several number of people that are supposed to be questioned that the agency has not questioned. The agency will easily tell you, oh, we cannot question everybody at the same time. But the ones that you have questioned are obviously the ones that the federal government has asked you to question. And that should not be so. We said institutions of government must be bigger than the individuals for us to build a virile, egalitarian society. There's no way individuals will be bigger than institutions and you expect the country to move forward. Bill Clinton told us so when he came to Nigeria, that we should try to build strong institutions and not strong nations. America is what it is today, not because there are no bad men in America, but because the institutions are bigger than the individuals.
All right, but
so why would we now copy advanced countries and then be behaving in a very primitive way around here? In as much as I am not founding for Elrufai, but my position is that there must be open justice in the dealings with every individual.
But Elrufai has cases to respond to, unless the argument would be that if Elrufai had remained in the APC, possibly the matter with the EFCC would have been stalled.
That is the whole argument, and that defeats the logic of the egalitarianism in the activities of EFCC. That defeats every modicum of justice in what they do. If he remained in APC, nobody would have cited him. Abubakar Malami that they are dragging all around today is because he fell out with the government in power. He talked to the CPC branch of the APC, and they felt that he needed to be, they needed to pull his ears. What of the others who are really committed, if not higher heinous financial misappropriation, and they are walking around freely? Even the ones that their matters are in court, the matters are not making progress at all. So how can we run a country like this? If we are all equal before the law, we expect that we should be treated equally so that there will be justice and fairness in the treatment of individuals. That is my point.
All right, Barrister. So let's look at the situation like this. I would come back to Elrufai's supposed circumstance. A couple of persons have said that it feels like the financial bigwigs in the ADC are being picked up. But a couple of persons felt that they should have expected this. I mean, leaving the APC to be part of the ADC. Obviously, they expected that this will come, the EFCC will come after them. But today in court, Justice Obiora Egwatu of the Federal High Court, Abuja, recused himself from two separate cases filed by the EFCC against former Attorney General of the Federation and former Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. The judge who was recently assigned the matters by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, that's Justice John Soho, said his decision to step down was motivated by personal reasons and the better interests of justice. So a lot of Nigerians insinuated and gave their own speculation to be possibly he was threatened, or he doesn't want to be on the negative side of anybody by being part of something that could possibly lead Malami in prison custody for a very long time. What do you think? I mean, it's too early in the case for a justice to recuse himself. What's your take on this?
Esther, if any judge feels that there is an attempt to twist him and make him do what his conscience does not support, the judge is at liberty to recuse himself. No matter where the pressure may be coming from, it is the prerogative of the judge to determine whether to continue with any matter or not. I do not know what may have led to his recusing himself, and I do not also want to join the flood of conjecture to begin to imagine what must have happened. But I can make bold to tell you that all we need in this country is justice, and justice to all. Any attempt and any effort to deliver partial justice, it is no longer justice. Or to deliver justice that is manipulated, it is no longer justice. Or to deliver justice that is coerced, or justice out of intimidation, it is no longer justice. And that is where the judiciary continues to have problems. Problems in the sense that the pressure that the judges go through are unimaginable. Unimaginable. Esther, the pressure is unimaginable. I can tell you this. Some of them don't succumb to such pressure out of greed. No. Some do, yes. Some others do out of unnecessary intimidation, because they are exposed. And then anybody who wants to keep being alive would want to consider his life first. Because at the end of the day, you now go inside your bedroom and ask yourself, is this country really worth dying for? If one is eliminated one way or the other, what has one benefited? The country keeps moving as if nothing happened. Where are the saints and the martyrs that sacrificed their lives for Nigeria? Where are they today? And that is part of the reasons that have been messing up the entirety of Nigerian sovereignty in everything that we do, and continues to make our state, our country, a failed nation, where there is no justice, where there is no equity, and where there is no egalitarianism. No nation can grow under the kind of yoke that Nigeria is being placed on as at the moment.
All right, Barrister, let's move to insecurity. First of all, gunmen suspected to be ISWAP terrorists, and they seem to be foreigners because they were described as very light-skinned. Okay, so they killed a professor whose name was Abubakar Mohammed El Juma of the Nigerian Army University, BU. It was a targeted abduction along the Maiduguri-Damboa highway. Apparently, these terrorists had the man's picture, and they did not contact the family at the initial instance. Then later, they contacted the family and told the family that they have killed him and buried him in their enclave. And this obviously has brought to the fore the spate of insecurity. Who are the persons using these guys for certain whims and caprices? This one was deliberate, targeted. They obviously sent them to tag this person. And this person, or this professor, works at the Nigerian Army University. What do you think this means?
Esther, it is a very worrisome development that every day in Nigeria, the biggest news is that of death, agony, and bloodshed. Every blessed day. Open any newspaper, open any media outlet, open any radio, television. All you keep seeing are things that will make your heart to bleed. And when you think that you have seen the worst, you wait for it. The next one will shock you the more. So it is a very terrible one, and most unfortunately, everybody who has understood or studied Nigerian situation continues to feel that the government is not doing enough. That is the most worrisome aspect of it. That the government will fold its arms and non-state actors will be dictating the pace, not only the pace, dictating the welfare of the people, who will live and who will not live, who will pay tax and who will not pay. You now begin to ask, can't those who are in authority sit down, lock themselves up in the room, and fashion a way forward out of this malaise? How come all the countries around us The one that can be called smaller countries have peace. All, not an exception. From Benin Republic to Ghana to Niger to Mali to Cameroon to Chad, all around us, there is peace. How come it is only in Nigeria that the people of Nigeria don't have peace? They are not sure of their tomorrow. How and why? So it is really a very worrisome development that has befuddled any imagination, and one does not know what next to say other than to ask government to wake up. Government is there to protect the lives and properties of the people, and not only to sign budget and share money. The primary essence of government is protection of life of the people, and not to release fund and sign contracts. That is not the essence of government. Look, individuals on their own can do any other thing, but we have all surrendered our individual sovereignty, and that is why you are not expected to carry ammunition and guns without license and authorization. Even that license will be limited. Once in a while, police will move around and mop up arms in the hands of people. But the non-state actors who are danger to humanity, they move around with all manner of sophisticated weapons, attend meetings with government officials, go back to their enclave, and nothing happens. So what kind of country are we in? What kind of country are we in?
Right.
Now a professor has been killed.
Yeah.
That will not be the end. Tomorrow you hear another bad news. Next tomorrow you hear another bad news. Nigerians are tired of, in fact, even the killings going on in Nigeria are over 80% unreported. Over 80% unreported. So why can we run a country like this? What is the essence of government? What is the essence of government?
Okay, Barrister, let's look at this. There's this guy, I don't know, he's been trending across social media platforms. He was in Yawata for a very long time, commiserating with the victims of the terrorist attack that took place last year, where over 200 persons were roasted to death in their homes and where, they were sleeping at night. So his name is Alex Babir. He said, according to what he's disclosing to us, he's saying that the killings are deliberate and are targeting a particular sect. Now, Nigerians have said these individuals are not just targeting Christians, but they're targeting Muslims. But Alex, who went there and stayed with them, said that it is not even Boko Haram that is carrying out this heinous crime. That is a Fulani militia group that are responsible for the killings in these communities, and the plan is to take over their territories. So they want the ancestral landowners to become extinct. He said that he decided, right, in Benue, to help build a market for them so that they can go back to the markets, especially those in the IDP camps, can go to the market and sell or whatever. He said the state government took a very long time in paying attention or attending to what he suggested, that instead they brought a map to him where they said that the amount of money that will be needed for that is 300 million naira. And he said that it's not up to that. It's 60 million naira he believes can be. He has done his own calculation. He's been able to consult with persons, said they could set up small market stores in Yawata. He's now accusing the federal government of Nigeria of deliberately protecting those responsible for the killings and playing down the scale of attacks on Christian communities. Barrister Fred Nzako, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised Nigerians, especially after what happened in Kwara State, vowing to them that he would end insecurity. In fact, the wife, who recently responded to some questions with Fox News, disclosed that she is happy with what the US did in December and also solicited that they should do more. A couple of cross-section of Nigerians were not happy with that remarks. However, the president is not letting any coin flip. Do you think that the government of the day is indeed protecting this militia as is being disclosed by this foreigner?
Yes, when there's what we call conspiracy, and sometimes conspiracy can be implied. When one has failed, refused, or neglected to do what one was supposed to do, one could be accused of conspiring with the actors. In a situation where government has failed, neglected, or refused to protect the lives of the people, it is easy for people to accuse the government of conspiracy. And that is why government has been accused many times of not doing enough. Now, everybody knows that Samuel Ortom, the former governor of Benue State, continued to have a running battle with the federal government where he openly continued to accuse the federal government of shielding the militia that have been attacking and killing his people because they want to grab their land. These things are not new. These things are not in the news today. It has been in the news for years. And what has the government done? That is the question. The critical question is, what has government done? Now, the attack in December, on December 25th by America in the north, what was the immediate reaction of the federal government? Oh, condemnation. Only for them to turn around and say, oh, we collaborated with them. We shared intelligence and then we worked together. Now, government has been trying to bribe American president, and they call it lobbying, so that he will have a different mindset about Nigeria. Instead, sometimes they say these things are that Nigerian security situation, or rather insecurity in Nigeria, has been intertwined with Nigerian messy politics. And sometimes you can't help but to wonder, why should that be? What is politics and what is security? Why wouldn't politics be separated from security? Politics is all about leadership, grabbing power. But security has to do with the life and protection of life and property of the people. So if you get the power and the people you want to lead are decimated, so what is the value and use of that power? Is it because Nigeria, we are blessed with over 200 million people? God did not ask us to begin to kill ourselves. Instead, he has given us enough resources to take care of the large population. We are not bigger than India. We're not bigger than ordinary Malaysia, Indonesia, not to talk of China. But these are big populations that are moving on smoothly. How many are we? How many? That we cannot take care of ourselves with all the huge resources that we have, and all you hear and see every day is bad news. I think those in power should, at least for once, sit back and think about the future of Nigeria. Because this primitive acquisition of wealth, thinking that they are building safe empire for their generation unborn, they are wasting their time.
All
They are
right.
wasting their time.
Barrister, I want you to take a quick listen to this very quickly, and then I'll ask you my question.
You can't shout at me.
I will shout at you.
I'm
I can present over this over you.
You can't.
I spoke for 5
You
minutes.
cannot.
But somebody spoke for 15 minutes.
I'm also a president
Stop
officer.
with that, please. I can present over this thing.
You can't.
That is the protocol.
No, you can't.
Thank you.
I'm also a principal officer.
You can't say so.
Because if
You're under me.
You're bootlicking your
Somebody
boss.
spoke for 15 minutes.
You're
And I spoke for 5
bootlicking.
minutes.
You're bootlicking.
Don't tell me that, please.
You're bootlicking. You're bootlicking your boss. Yes, you're
I'm
bootlicking.
putting the facts. I'm putting the facts on the real party.
Please,
Don't shut me down.
your order distinguished.
Sir, do we leave for executive session?
No. It's fine. Partial of what? You see, senators' questions. You see, they all ask questions. You are just praising the minister. You should allow us to thank him. Excuse me.
Distinguish.
Excuse me. I was elected with 10 times the votes. I came through election. So what when you are going to party? The ruling party what?
Please, let's calm off nails, please. Senator Weboye, I agree with you. You had the floor and you used your time. But it's okay.
Well, even when you have the floor, you can't debate. It's okay.
Senator Weboye. Senator Weboye.
You are just a hitman. No, you can't do that.
Well,
shouldn't respect my chair. He shouldn't respect this my motion.
Mr. Chairman, the co-chairs. I'll speak. Okay, thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, let us remember that we are not in a closed session. We are before the cameras and everybody. Please, sir, don't allow. Please, don't allow. Honorable colleagues, whatever we do, we should not forget that we are colleagues. Whatever we do, we should not forget that we are colleagues. And whatever you say, you must remember that you only say those things that if somebody says it to you, you'll be okay. I understand your position, but equally, I must tell you here that it was wrong for you to refer to an elderly person and to a leader too that is from the minority. Yes, I must tell you the truth. I must tell you the truth. I don't think okay, calm down.
You were elected, I was elected too.
Oshomono that spoke for 15 minutes is from APC. So calm down, please. No, you cannot tell me what to say. I'm not a senator. Senator Jume, please sit down. Please sit down, Senator Jume.
Barrister Fred Nzako, Nigerians said yesterday's flare-up was an embarrassment. The same Senator Umaboy, and I don't know if you followed the process. So the ministers are being, will I say, audited, the budget that they reeled out, how much they've been able to use in that budget, and they need to reel out another budget for the year 2026 in their various ministries, departments, and agencies. Yesterday was that of the Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi. Senator Umaboy was part of the committees of persons who were there to ask questions. So at the onset, Umaboy was obviously felicitating, congratulating him, sort of subtly praising him. And that was where the chairman of the committee said, you were supposed to ask questions, not but leak. And that was where Umaboy started flaring up and saying, I'm a member of the ruling party, you are a minority, you cannot tell me what to say, you cannot tell me what to do, and all of that. What are we, or what have our National Assembly or senators become? Is it possible that if it was a closed-door session, it would have been more rowdy than that?
Esther, the reason why Nigerians are asking for real-time electronic transmission of results is so that their votes will count. And the reason why they are asking that their votes will count is for them to be able to elect credible people to lead. In the absence of credible people, Esther, nobody can give what you do not have. If you go to a motor park and pick a motor park tout and dress him up in suit and make him a legislator, you have not removed the motor park syndrome in his blood. If you go to under the bridge and pick up a criminal and a pickpocket and make him a legislator or a senior government official, put a border on his body, that pickpocket syndrome in his blood, that criminal in his mind had not left him. And if Nigerians are given the opportunity to decide their leaders, Nigerians will be in a better opportunity, in a better position to elect credible people who will deliver, who has the pedigree, the menu, the training, the discipline, the knowledge, the passion, the intellect required of leadership. But in the absence of that, all you have, remember that former DIG, who was the senator, stood up one day on the floor of the Senate chambers. That was in 2003 or thereabout, and said that in this chamber there are so many criminals and 419ers that he prosecuted while he was in police, that he could start naming them. The then Senate president pleaded with him not to name anybody. And what does that tell you? That Nigerian leadership selection process is very, very faulty, and that is why you get mediocres in power. Forget the fact that yes, the money politics is there, but if the people are allowed, even with the throwing around of their money, their dirty wealth, their filthy wealth, the people can still sift through them and pick the wheat from the chaff. But the people are not allowed to do so. Orchestrated by rigging and unnecessary political electoral manipulation. And at the end of the day, what you get? You have this kind of embarrassing scene where somebody will be calling himself a distinguished senator, but he is very far from being distinguished. Mr. Peter Gregory said and admonished Nigerians, he's not just answer your excellency when there's nothing excellent around your conduct. You are answering honorable when you are very far from honor. No modicum of honor in you. So those frivolous appendages that we attach to political office holders sometimes get into their head. Oh, my distinguished senator. What makes him distinguished? You can see the kind of distinguishing that he has, that they all have, where they cannot sit down, iron things out, reason like men and women that have responsibility and burden of leadership that the entire countries are looking up to. The entire population, the citizens are looking up to them to make laws for the good governance of the nation. But what do? Quarrel, share money, go on break, come back, manipulate, release figures that are not true. And as time goes on, it gets worse. Just sit down and look at the trajectory of Nigerian National Assembly from 1999. You see that it gets worse by each succeeding Senate. And it is a very worrisome one. And that is why we keep saying we must get it right at the point of the selection of leadership. Otherwise, Nigeria will continue to sink into more and more decadence.
All right, Barrister Fred Nzako, thank you so much for taking your time and giving us your own perception on the issues read out on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Many thanks, sister.
All right. And that was Barrister Fred Nzako speaking with us and sharing his perspective on some of the stories that were reeled out during the World News at 6. Barrister, we sincerely do appreciate you for giving us your input. Before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria. The teenage suspect in a mass shooting in rural British Columbia had been the subject of a number of police visits in recent years because of mental health issues. Police say the 18-year-old, who was found dead on the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, killed 8 people, including 6 children, in Tuesday's attack in Tumbler Ridge. Jesse Van Rutsela had previously been apprehended and assessed under the Mental Health Act and used to have a firearms license. It is unclear who owned the gun used in the attack or what was the motive. Prime Minister Mark Harness has said he will visit the mountain town in the coming days. British Columbia in Western Canada proclaimed Thursday a day of mourning across the province. 5 students aged 12 to 13 and a 39-year-old teacher were killed, and at least 25 others were injured at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. 2 others, the suspect's mother, also 39, and 11-year-old stepbrother, were found dead at a nearby home where the attack began. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Machiku. Up next, we'll be having Omoyele Shore with us live here in the studio during the evening rush, where we'll get to discuss nationhood and basically all the quagmires and challenges currently bedeviling Nigeria, and how he, who is a presidential candidate for 2027, intends to resolve all of this. Do kindly stay with us. Good evening.